I, Dr. Preeti Sharma, Area Chair Finance, welcome you all to this session on Empowering Hearts, Inspiring Souls, being organized by IMT CDL to celebrate women's achievements as well as the contributions they made to make a better society. So every year on 8th of March, we celebrate International Women's Day, and the talks of women empowerment are being held across the globe. On this moment, in my memory, there are many inspirational names, and I would like to quote a few. So I would begin with खूब लड़ी मस्तानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी. So Maharani Lakshmibai, my first introduction to bravery. Then our former Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi ji, who shaped the nation for decades. That was my first introduction to strong leadership. और अगर हम आज के भारत की बात करें तो हमारी माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी, भारत की प्रथम नागरिक श्रीमती द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी, ये सभी नाम और असंख्य अनेकों नाम हमारे लिए प्रेरणा का स्रोत हैं. So on this occasion, I'm really feeling proud as well as privileged to welcome our panel of inspiring women who have created an impact with their incredible work, and they overcome challenges through courage, grit, and sacrifice. So at this moment, I would like to welcome all my speakers of the day on behalf of IMTCDL family. We have with us Anshu Arora ji, who is Chief Synergist, Metamorphosis, Gurgaon. We have with us Premlata Punya ji. She is the founder Hamari Lado from Rajasthan. We have with us Anusha Subramaniam ji, who is the partner Bohemian Adventures LLP Mumbai. And we have with us Dilshad Masterji, who is the founder and director of Bulls Adventures Bengaluru. And we have with us our session moderator, Ms. Preeti Juneja ji. So all these women deserve a big round of applause. They are impact women of today. And we look forward a lot of inspiration for all our listeners of this talk today. Now, I would like to introduce Ms. Preeti Juneja, our session moderator. So Preeti Juneja ji is the founder of DreamWeb India, and she is a marketing strategist who help her clients with personal branding through the power of digital marketing services. Her initiative, Inspiring Women, features every Wednesday the eminent women personalities, and this is a great success. Member of WICCI, PR and Digital Marketing Council, and many other reputed strong networking platforms. Ms. Preeti Juneja exemplifies the power of digital marketing services in fostering connections, sharing knowledge, and amplifying voices. I am proud to share that Ms. Preeti Juneja is one of our most active alumni members, and as a former office bearer of IMTCDL Alumni Association, she has created an impact. So once again, I welcome all my panel members, and now I request Preeti Juneja ji to please take this discussion forward and introduce our speakers of the day. Thank you. Over to you, Preeti ji.
Thank you so much, Dr. Preeti Sharma. And that was a lovely introduction. And I'm grateful to IMT CDL Ghaziabad for collaborating with DreamWeb India on this occasion to commemorate the International Women's Day. We have an amazing lineup today. So a very warm welcome to all my panelists.
Hi, Preeti.
Hi. It was my privilege actually to, have interviewed all of you. eminent personalities who have catalyzed change, leadership, and transformation across diverse sectors. And I've been truly inspired, so to pass on that inspiration and the strength to others. Um, this is a really good platform, I would say. Joining me from Bangalore is Dilshad Master. She is a media and adventure travel icon, known for her amazing leadership in Star TV, National Geographic Channel, UTV. A cancer survivor, she shifted gears to inspire through adventure. Founded Bulls Adventure, she champions resilience. Today, as a motivational speaker, she shares her journey of overcoming obstacles and finding strength in the mountains. From Rajasthan, we have with us Premlata Punya. She was raised in the remote village of Rajasthan. Despite facing several migrations, she went to United States on scholarship for her MBA. Also an IMT Ghaziabad alumni. She led the $1 billion North America bus business, championing global initiative at Cummins. Launched Hamari Lado, NGO for rural girls' education. Recently, she penned a memoir called The Borders, Bridges, Belonging. From Gurugram, Delhi NCR, I welcome Anshu Arora. Anshu Arora is a global master facilitator, speaker coach, Pecha Kucha coach, executive coach, certified storyteller, TEDx speaker, author of the book Candid Conversations with Anshu Arora, podcaster, and experiential training lead. With a wealth of certification and accolades, she collaborates with global C-suite executives, delivering impactful workshops across diverse industries worldwide. Anusha Subramaniam joining us from Mumbai. Hi, Anusha. She is an accomplished journalist and mountaineer, garnered accolades of investigative work on environmental and mountaineering issues. Anusha transitioned from journalism to pursue her passion for inclusivity in the outdoor adventures. She is a partner at Bohemian Adventures, where she empowers individuals, including those with disabilities, through trekking. Thank you so much. Warm welcome once again to all of you. And so the idea is that, how is it that we can pass on the inspiration, the strength to others, and through, your life stories, touching lives and helping others when it comes to building courage, when it comes to building resilience, and having the grit to overcome struggles. So my first question is to Dilshad. Dilshad, we have seen you on TEDx. And as a motivational speaker talking of nurturing resilience, overcoming adversities, some struggles are really hard. And how can one become resilient to that?
First of all, thank you, Preeti, for inviting us. Grateful to IMT CDL Ghaziabad for this platform. Preeti, I honestly feel resilience is not something we are born with. Resilience is like a muscle. It's like you lift weights to build your biceps and your shoulders and strengthen your back. You practice resilience. And I strongly feel that anyone is capable of it. And you don't have to wait for life-altering moments to practice resilience. Do it in, I tell my daughter, do it in small little ways. Like you wake up in the morning, oh, I don't feel like going for a walk. You push yourself out of bed and you walk. That's resilience. Then you're facing something that's holding you back. That's resilience. To me, resilience is not bouncing back. Resilience is all about finding a new opportunity from a setback. And I think it's something that can be practiced at all times.
I was reading this book, 11 True Stories of Extraordinary Grit, Courage, and Resilience. This book is Candid Conversations with Anshu Arora. It's a great book. And Anshu, you have also spoken on resilience. You have you have spoken on all grit, courage, and resilience. So, you have met so many wonderful women who are featured in your book. What inspired you to write this book? And I want to ask you that, especially women in adversities, just like I spoke to Dilshad, that there are people who face struggles. Some are really hard. And, some women in adversities, what advice would you like to give to them?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us here, just like Dilshad said. And another moment of acknowledgement that just a few windows away in this grid is chapter 1 of my book, which is Dilshad. And I'm absolutely grateful to have her in my book. She's the strength and the spinal cord of my book, filled with resilience. So thank you, Dilshad. One more platform to say thank you to you. Well, to answer your question, Preeti, I think any time that anybody gets hit by anything, it may be, like Dilshad said, smallest of difficulties, just as small as getting out of bed, or any big thing in an incident in life that hits you. I know and I understand that I was put into something that was as deep as what I often address as the Kola super deep borehole, which is the deepest hole in this whole world, of a man-made hole, which is about 12,262 meters in Russia. So I was hit and metaphorically put into a situation in a hole as deep as that. And it is at that moment that I realized, when I looked at people like Dilshad and many more, 10 other more in this book, that there were people fighting bigger battles with even bigger smiles. And with that came my lesson of resilience, courage, and grit, which is that we always have the capacity to become a courageous communicator. And that's my lesson for today. So to become a courageous communicator, accept that it's okay to be vulnerable, accept that adversity is an absolute part of living life, and dealing with grit is no choice. You have to do it. There's no other way of looking back. Once we address this as a mindset, I'm sure we don't look back.
Totally agree with you, Anshu, because I think if you look at the other side of it, where people are full of fear and people are full of negativity, I think we need to put a stop there, and we need to now look at the positive side, which is making people more stronger and more courageous and be able to face whatever comes their way. And in that also, when we talk about the word empower, because on Women's Day, this word is being like overratedly used. Anusha would be able to probably help me here, because Anusha says that empowerment is inclusion. In my interview with you, Anusha, I know it's really important to make everyone feel included at the end of the day. And whether it is the gender or whether it is working with the disabled persons, So how do you ensure that everybody feels accepted and included? And that is, in true sense, empowerment.
Thank you, Preeti, and I'm really very happy and honored to be a part of this panel discussion with eminent people like Dilshad, Anshu, and even Purnima. And thank you, IMTDCL. Yes, I did say that empowerment is inclusion, and I think when I say that with a lot of confidence, because it's all about providing equal opportunities for all. I think many a times we exclude a lot of people thinking that they can't do something, but that's not true. And especially if I talk about the outdoors are, it's the vast bounties of nature are for everyone to enjoy. Why do we actually then decide who can and who cannot enjoy? That is when I decided that, I'm somebody who goes to the mountain too often, and I want to carry along with me everyone who wants to be a part of that outdoor space. And that's how, for me, the outdoors embraced me, and I embraced myself. I empowered myself to be able to, empower others by giving them the opportunity. And that's what I've been doing. And I think that's very important, providing opportunities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, when we talk about inspiration, I think Prem Lata Punya
Mhm.
has really displayed that, in true sense, because, so many people from India go abroad to study and to work there and to settle down. But Prem returned back 10 years later to start girl child education in India in the remotest of the Rajasthan. I mean, I'm really hats off to you, Prem, for coming back and doing this, because I'm sure that more people like you, if they do that, we'll be in, some other level altogether. So what really moved you to come from all the way, after all the education in America, now come back and work on this?
Well, thank you so much for having me. As you shared, IMT is where I went to grad school, so I have some great memories. Actually, मुझे जब मैं गई थी वो उसी पर्पस के लिए गई थी. मेरा पर्पस ये था कि आई वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि दुनिया में लोग प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कैसे करते हैं. मैं एक बहुत ही छोटे से गांव में पली बड़ी, हिंदी मीडियम में पढ़ाई करी. सो आई डिड नॉट सी एनीबडी लाइक मी एज आई मूव्ड अप द लैडर. क्योंकि गांव के बच्चियां स्पेशली, और अगर आप हिंदी मीडियम से पढ़े हो तो द सिस्टम इज डिजाइंड दैट यू डोंट क्रॉस दोज बैरियर्स इन सम वेज. तो मुझे हमेशा से ये था कि वापस आना है. मुझे भरोसा नहीं होता कि मुझे 10 साल लग गए. लाइक मैं गई तो मुझे ये था कि हाँ 2 साल बाद वापस आऊंगी, फिर 4 6 वर्क कंटिन्यू टू टेक ओवर. सो बट मेरे को हमेशा ये था कि आई वांट टू कम बैक एंड आई वांट टू गिव इट माय बिट to move the needle, and we'll leave the success to the time. If it works, great. If it not, at least I gave it my best and I tried. So that's kind of what the motivation was.
Moving on, at certain point in time, मुझे लगता है कि whether it is to especially do with women who are 40 plus or 50 plus, there is a time when people start rediscovering themselves. There's a realization in life, whether they want to pursue a dream of theirs or an interest or a hobby, or is it like some kind of inner calling that makes them do something totally different. So and this actually, to acknowledge this true calling is very, very powerful. It's not everybody, is able to do that. But, from coming from there, Dilshad, I would like to know from you, again, when I was interviewing you, you mentioned categorically, I quit a high paying job, and that is not easy, So what were the challenges? Because a lot of people are jumping into this startup boat nowadays, and so I want to understand in terms of self realization, when people want to leave their cushy jobs in the corporates and now they want to do something of their own, realize a dream. So what are the
So
challenges you
actually,
face?
I quit 2 high-paying jobs, not one. I quit Star TV and then I quit National Geographic. I call them golden handcuffs. These are jobs that make it very hard for you to leave. And one of the inspirations was, of course, my husband, who one day walked into my office in Star TV on some bizarre floor and looked around and said, कि तुझे क्या पूरी जिंदगी 20 feet by 20 feet ऑफिस तक कमानी है क्या? And is this what you're going to do for the rest of your life? And that was like, it was an eye opener. But then I continued for another, I think, 8 years. I didn't stop until cancer hit me. And then I realized that, boss, ye nahi karna hai. I put the high stress paying job as one of the reasons for my cancer. And I realized कि ये तो छोड़ना पड़ेगा. अब आगे क्या करना है वो सोचना है. And I think that's really I was not as much inspired as pushed into making some really life-changing decisions, and quitting the job actually for me, and I'm privileged to say this, was the easiest thing to do. It was quitting करने के बाद क्या करना है, because I used to work 14-16 hours a day. Now suddenly I've got this empty slot sitting in front of me. अब क्या करूं? So I think follow your passion. I always tell people follow the passion, but थोड़ा पैसा बना के follow passion करो, because I think that's helpful. It allows you to make certain wise decisions which you otherwise may not be able to make.
That's a very positive way of looking at things. And Anusha, in fact, you have also worked, years in journalism, and you have been a achiever there. So, and then now, what you're doing is completely different. Would you like to add something, your perspective?
Yeah, actually, I never thought I would take up outdoors as a full-time professional, work in the outdoors, do what I'm doing currently. But I'm glad that I had not thought about it earlier, because then it would have been very structured. I quit journalism because I had enough of it. I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. I wanted to do certain things in journalism, like mentorship, which I wasn't seeing myself doing. And the best part I thought was, the best thing to do is just quit, because you can't be waking up every morning and saying, oh, I need to go to work. So I just decided, I knew I had a fallback on my outdoors, not knowing exactly what I'm going to do. And before I quit my full-time good job from a large media group, I had taken a sabbatical in between as well. Again, because of boredom, again, because I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. So I just decided to quit. And that is when that 1 year which I quit and took a break after 12 years of journalism was when I kind of ventured into a lot more into outdoors to see what I could do. I was already leading treks and all of that. But then I was lucky enough to come back, and then 2013 was final. That was the end of it. I think if you have the confidence in you, and if you know that you can fall back on doing something, which again is another passion, I think you should just go for it. And I think I've been lucky enough that both my jobs have been paying jobs and, following my passion. Yeah.
So, I hear this whole thing about having a natural transition, a progressive way of, from one job to another job, or one certain thing that one was doing and then moving on to something else, and needs a lot of grit, definitely. And, Anshu, this is one of the things that the challenges and, the self-discovery and all of that. But there are also situations where somebody needs to probably take a sabbatical for caregiving of the elderly parents or growing children, or to do with new mothers. Now, when they have to take this sort of a break, or, move from their career, it's very hard to come back, to the career. And, you also interact with a lot of C-suite on leadership. What is your perspective on the other side of the lens, how they will be included or empowered in true sense?
To be included in the true sense is not in the hands of the C-suite, it's in the hand of the person who's bouncing back. Because how well you're bouncing back is going to ensure how well you're received. So I think to take a break, whatever the reason, is absolutely okay. It's absolutely okay. But the underlying statement, according to me, is that one should think about pausing and not stopping. And once you tell yourself that you're stopping, then you should give the signal to your brain that you're making a mistake. I can vouch today on because of, especially on the occasion of Women's Day, I really want to give examples of so many women around me who were so well educated, so talented, and just because they did not pause and stopped, today they can't take so many big decisions in life which pertain to identity, financial independence, creative satisfaction, and accomplishing these new things in life is a joy every individual deserves, irrespective of the gender. So, whatever be the calling, it's okay. Take a pause. Whatever the situation, respect that, because that's life. Like I mentioned earlier, that adversity has to be taken as a part of life. So, yes, it will happen. But the point to remember is that it's your independence, your working, your professional and financial independence, especially for women, should be taken as a basic need. And then take that plunge. Take that plunge. I loved what Anusha said, that it didn't resonate anymore. I understand what Dilshad said, that one question that hit her. So the reason could be anything. But the point is, just pause, don't stop.
Correct. So actually, it's not so much about the job or the position or the place in the organization. It's more about you as a person. And if you are determined in doing what you want to do and you're clear in your head, then things will flow better in life for you. And I mean, even Prem, how is it in the US? Is it when we talk about second career woman and career breaks, any perspective there?
आई थिंक थोड़ा सा बिकॉज यहाँ हमारा ऑडियंस भी काफ़ी लोग हैं जो सीडीएल से कनेक्टेड है, मैं एक चीज़ बोलना चाहूँगी कि उस चीज़ को बहुत नॉर्मल लेते हैं लोग। हम यहाँ इतना आई फील लाइक अभी भी औरतों के लिए इतना मुश्किल है। इफ़ यू हैव अ चाइल्ड और इफ़ यू टेकिंग केयर ऑफ अ पेरेंट एंड व्हेन यू गो बैक इनटू वर्क, जस्ट लुक अराउंड। अगर हमारे घर में किसी का बच्चा हुआ है, डज हैज नॉट रिमूव देयर ब्रेन और देयर प्रोफेशनल केपेबिलिटी, हाउ कैन वी स्टार्ट जजिंग देम? इनफैक्ट दे बिकम मोर कमिटेड टू द टाइम दैट दे हैव फॉर ऑफिस। उस टाइम को चाय सुट्टा में नहीं बर्बाद करेंगे। दे 8 hour दे गिव देयर बेस्ट एंड दे कम बैक होम। और इफ दे हैव अ एजिंग पेरेंट, दे टेकिंग केयर ऑफ देम, it kind of gives them a better perspectives for other employees dealing with similar problems, so they make them better leaders. So मुझे लगता है ये जो थोड़ा है ना biases towards women if they have taken a year off to take care, वो कम करने की जरूरत है। like those years, that time off hasn't reduced them of any of their skills or capabilities. So at least मुझे वहाँ वही देखने को मिलता था, you can take time off, you can come back in, and हमारे यहाँ at least 6 month का maternity leave है, वहाँ नहीं था government mandated. So people did take time off, they would take sabbatical, they would work 4 days a week, है ना? And it doesn't reduce them to anything in that sense. तो मुझे लगता है वो mindset थोड़ा change करने की ज़रूरत है, especially when we see more working women entering workforce, adjust for their needs.
And I think अपने mind से डर निकालना बहुत ज़रूरी है, that whether I'll be able to do or not, will I fail, what other people think of me, ये जो अपना fear है, अपना जो internal fear है जिसको हम रोज constantly battle up करते हैं, I think that needs to be out of our head somewhere so that we can move forward. And talking of internal fears, Dilshad, again, you mentioned to me that a lot of people that you take on treks have never trekked before. And there are people, there are women in their mid-40s, there are children who are 7 years old. So it's a big responsibility to shoulder. And I'm sure you must be also facing some going on fear inside you, how to handle these challenges. And in fact,
Oh, definitely. Definitely, Preeti. I really prefer to take newcomers because my main aim in life is to introduce the outdoors to as many people as I can. So I take children from 5 साल से। skiing तो मैं 5 साल के बच्चे को भी ले जाऊंगी। Trekking 7 years plus for sure. Last trek I did in Kashmir, I had my age group span from 6.5 years to 65 years. And out of that group, 2 or 3 ladies were all over 55. And बहुत बार मेरे को वो बोलते हैं मैं 55 साल की, I'm 55, will I be able to do? I said I'm 57 and I'm still doing it, आप फिक्र मत करो. So I think ageism is a big thing in India, and that is exactly what Premlata says, is that we have to look at stopping that bias. This is another bias that needs to stop, that I'm too old. You're not too old to do anything. My first trek was at the age of 48. My first ever trek. So there's nothing such as age. Yes, yes, it's dangerous. I won't say dangerous, but yes, there is a fear when I take first timers, but I'm happier to take first timers than regular trekkers, because regular trekkers can get overconfident. And that to me is a lot more dangerous. I have had situations where a regular trekker has just walked off thinking, yaar, ye log to bahut slow hai, main to ja raha hu. It's taken an entire Gulmarg rescue team to find him. So I would much prefer to take beginners who listen, take children for whom I can open the mountains up. They've never rolled in grass before. I make them roll all the way down from a green meadow. They love it. Then the mothers love it and the fathers love it. So for me, it's not fear. For me, it is just absolute joy to see people watching the mountains for the first time.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is professionally when you're at work, but are you, I mean, on a personal level also, that I know you, Would you be open to talk about, cancer
Of course,
and your
actually,
feelings? Yeah.
my speaking career started with cancer, Preeti, and I'll give you a very, very small story and very quickly. And it started because I was sitting at Tata Memorial Hospital, where if anybody has gone over there as a patient, you will know you spend sometimes even 6 hours waiting for the surgeon to see you for precisely 35 seconds. And
Hmm.
next to me was sitting this lady. She was a lawyer in the Maharashtra High Court. She was alone. She said, nobody in my family knows except my husband, my in-laws. Nobody knows I have cancer. And I was taken aback. मैं कहा क्यों? सिर्फ मैं अगर बोलूंगी तो लोग क्या कहेंगे? मेरे को लोग क्या कहेंगे मतलब? And that's when it occurred to me that I have to talk about it. I talk about my cancer anytime I get, any opportunity I get. Because I think we need to break this ridiculous bias. It's not something to be ashamed of. I thought that was ridiculous. Here was an educated lady, lawyer of the High Court of Maharashtra, saying, किसी को नहीं पता मुझे कैंसर है, मेरे बच्चों को भी नहीं पता, मेरे इन-लॉज को भी नहीं पता, सिर्फ मेरे हस्बैंड को पता है. That's the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard, and I felt for her. I realized where she was coming from, and for me, it was very important to talk about.
Hmm. Yeah, so actually, there are so many barriers that we need to break, and we keep talking about the glass ceiling, but there's more to it, and there's so much beyond that. And I also, like I've seen how Anusha, last time when she went to the Everest base camp, she took Sudhir Krishnan, a person with Parkinson, and she took him to the EBC. I mean, that's incredible. Anusha, again, where do you get the strength from?
I think I get my strength from my participants, honestly. When they say that they want to do something that people think they can't do, I'm very happy to take them and let them, experience the outdoors. And that's what happened with the person with Parkinson's as well. Krish was, when he came for the first time to India, he'd never trekked in his life, not even the UK. And first took him on his first visit. I just took him to Binog, a small hill in Missouri, where he just kind of experienced what it means to walk for, like, say, 1 or 2 hours in the hills. And then after that, he came back rejuvenated, and he said, I want to do Valley of Flowers and Hemkund Sahib. So that was the second, directly from, Binog, which is a very small hill in Missouri, to climbing 15,000 feet, Hemkund Sahib, the next year. And he went back. He did brilliantly. He walked very well. And he went back and he messaged me saying, I'd like to do Everest Base Camp. And I said, of course, by all means. And he was back in April. So I think for me, it is the confidence and the trust that my participants show in me, which kind of gives me more strength to be able to, take them to the outdoors and introduce them to the outdoors. I've also walked with the blind, trekked with the blind. The kind of resilience, the determination, the ability to, take everything in their stride is so huge in persons with disability that you also find your strength from them, and you can learn so much. I mean, for me, I think every trip has been a great learning. Yes, there are fears before you start the trip. You have to plan yourself very well. But because they trust you so much, that, they kind of believe in you, and therefore they know that you wouldn't make a mistake. But having said that, yes, I do prepare myself very well, physically, mentally as well. Like, for instance, when I was taking the Parkinson's patient, I had to do a lot of reading to understand where could there be a problem, where could the triggers be for him while he's in the high altitude. It meant a lot of reading and planning it well. But thankfully, everything went off absolutely well. So for me, I think I get my strength from my participants who say that they are out there to, experience the outdoors. I think that's the best thing that you can get from them.
Very well said, Anusha. I think in outdoors, especially, whether it is, these treks to ABC, or you're taking a Kashmir skiing program, Dilshad, I think what is common in all this is leadership. you're a leader and they are the followers. And as a leader, my next question goes to Anshu. Anshu, many listeners are MBA graduates from IMT CDL, and on their behalf, I would like to ask you that what are we looking for in the leaders, in women leaders, and how do we build the capability and readiness for it?
Okay, we are mindful that this is an IMT platform, but I really wish that leadership could be taught in B schools. The spirit of a leader is beyond the management books. What we learn in B schools, if that was the only ingredient going into becoming a successful leader, then people like Benki Piako, who become leaders at the age of 10, would not be writing history in this world. So I want to build my answer on the base of some statistics. So DDI's 2023 Global Leadership Forecast says that only 32% people in an organization trust senior leaders. That's all. So just imagine, what is the need? So where is the need for appropriate leadership skill? So the first aspect, I think, will be into doing things that can help build trust. So considering that we're talking to students today who will, or people who are working professionals who are going to take on leadership roles very soon. So I think step one will be, what should you do to build that trust, that people can trust you? I did a complete research and reading about C-suite and people who report into C-suite and work. Then I realized that in today's generation, and as per the research that we conducted across the Bay Area, we realized that deep diving, the lack of deep diving has become a big issue. People want to know and they think they already know. Just look at just a little while ago, what did Anusha say? She said that she read through what would impact a person with a certain disability because it was not a mandate for her. She did it to be good at what she was doing. And that is what instilled the trust that that participant had in her, and the fact that he came back to her. So the need to deep dive is extremely high. The second aspect, I'll take it from what Dilshad said, not only getting up that one morning to show resilience, but to stay committed to getting up every morning. So the fact that once you learn to deep dive, you stay committed to what you have to honor. You don't run away at the last hour. And whatever I'm speaking right now is clearly born out of research, Preeti, which is what was found in today's generational leaders, which was somewhat missing. So also, you earn your respect with performance. The fact is that, now just imagine if Anusha did this trip and that person did not have a good experience, who would want to come back? Who? So the fact remains that you earn your respect by living up to the promises you made or the performance that you committed, and you go to any lengths to give that experience. Fourth aspect came up, Preeti, in my research, which was so integral, is the lack of listening. We want to talk all the time. Hang on, I know it. Let me finish it for you. We listen less, we learn less, therefore. And all of it, I think in that research that I studied, it said that the biggest reason that leaders of today, young leaders especially, are not making it, if at all, then the reason is that they just reached that far away from what they're supposed to reach, where they're supposed to reach, and they leave it. So sticking on to it, completing what you started, and the bottom line being not what you do, but how you do it is what will define you as a leader. If leaders of today can think of these few points, and like I said, it's no book, it's no gyan. I just pulled it out from listening to the umpteen leaders that I spoke with, but understanding from them as to what did not work for them in ground realities. And I hope this resonates.
Thank you so much, Anshu. In fact, this is the very reason why I wanted to have this session with all of you together, because I could see that there are so many things in common that can be, relevant to our listeners. And it's not just the women. I'm sure a lot of even everybody, students, men and women alike, or, other faculty members for that matter, I'm sure everybody has something that they will resonate when you're speaking on the different aspects that we're touching today. And I think, I mean, again, Dilshad, the amazing leadership at NAGIO and then UTV. I'm sure, how can women become better leaders, Dilshad?
I completely agree with Anshu. Just listen. One of the key things that I'll tell you an example what happened. I promoted one of my senior creative directors to head of honor promos in National Geographic. 15 days later, he walks to my office and says, "ये नहीं चाहिए." I said, "क्या हो गया?" He says, "यार, I'm spending 80% of my time just listening to people." So I said, "But that's what leaders do." He said, "तो मैं creative कब बनूंगा? मैं promo कब edit करूंगा?" So I told him, I said, if you want this position, then you have to spend 80% of your time with people. Just listen. That's the most important thing a leader can do. I'm not saying a leader is magical. We can't do everything, There are times when our hands are tied. But be empathetic and listen. I think that's really half the battle won. I can give you another example. I had a lovely child who was ADHD on one of my treks in Kashmir, and a mother came up to me and she was very apologetic, and I hated it when she did it that way. But she was coming from a good space, and she said, "I'm really sorry if my daughter disrupts your trek." And I was like, "Don't worry, we'll handle it. Don't worry." And the way I handled it was by listening to the child, establishing from day one that I'm leader. You got to listen to me because it's your safety. And she understood that, immediately understood that part. And it was so easy after that. And I don't think there is any difference between dealing with a 7-year-old, a 12-year-old, or a 22-year-old, or a 50-year-old. You just have to be empathetic and you have to listen.
Great. Anybody else who wants to talk on leadership from the panel? Okay, so I'm going to move on to another thing. So my field is marketing, which means that I really work hard, whether it is a person or a brand or an organization, to help them build their reputation, to increase their visibility, and whether through using marketing, obviously, public relations, online marketing. But these are all platforms, whether it is a speaking opportunity at TEDx or whether you talk about anything else, social media for that matter. And these platforms have become very important because now we have something called influencers and influencer marketing. And, I want to understand, Prem, your book is right here and it's magical. And I want to know that did people start looking at you differently after reading this book? Now, because this is a memoir. This is a memoir, by the way, and they know you now through the book. Yeah.
It was the fear before I put it out, how much I'm letting it out, but I did it. I think two really good things that came back. One was a lot of people said that they felt gratitude for the generations before them, for their grandparents' generation, because they did not know what the grandparents' generation went through to give them the life they have today. So that message came through from the book. And the second best thing, I got a call from a 12-year-old kid in Chicago, and he talked for an hour about the book. एंड आई कुडंट हैव बिलीव्ड कि 12 साल के बच्चों को किताब समझ आएगी और उस डेप्थ में समझ आएगी और इतने सारे एस्पेक्ट्स में. सो बट द फियर ऑफ पीपल नोइंग मी एट all layers, it was before I put it out, but once it was out, I didn't think about it. But thank you.
Yeah. And again, I mean, Anshu, you have a podcast, and podcast is a new thing, by the way. Not people are still exploring that area, and you are already acing it. So tell us about your podcast.
Before I get to the podcast, I want to borrow something from what Kucha said. That isn't it funny that you have to be an achiever to be respected? It's so funny. The fact here, I think, and I'll again take it from the child, that we are the ones who are superimposing this idea of scores, numbers, of achievements. If you look at children especially, or you look at college going kids studying in beach schools ready to hit out, it is not funny how much they cooperate with each other. It is not funny how much they support each other. My daughter studies in a boarding school, and every time she calls, if I forget to ask, how are the other 4 girls in your room? And before she puts the phone down, she will tell me, you didn't ask me about my 4 friends. I was like, I apologize. How are they all? Are they eating well? So they are so in. We are the ones who are making this hype about winning, leading. And what happened to the guy who made the effort to run? That little effort to run, which was perhaps a battle won. I remember I sent a text to, in one of those nights, I sent a text to Dilshad and asked her, I am this age, I am this thing. You think one day I can do an Everest base camp? So, it happens. It's about what are you winning? So my podcast essentially is about winning your battles, whatever they are, small, big, and you don't have to, ace it. You don't have to be number 1 to be on a podcast. You don't have to have authored a book to be respected. And you're good in what you do. Are you happy? Are you sleeping well in the night? Have whatever goals you set for yourselves in whatever circumstances you are, have you done that? Good. So the reason that my podcast resonated with a lot of people was because I started stepping into the shoes of the people who were telling me their stories. Rather than me dictating, tell me, are you a winner? What do you feel? No, I said, just tell me. And I'm listening. And I want quote one very, very popular journalist who came on my podcast, but she did not reveal her identity for her family situation. And she spoke of intergenerational trauma and how verbal abuse made her suffer so badly, and how it passed on to her daughter, who's now a teenager and experiencing seizures because she underwent verbal abuse. And I'm talking of a highly evolved journalist who was very good at her work. So the point I'm trying to make here is we all have to be solution oriented in our heads. You want to discuss a problem, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, time after time, you can go on with it. Are you searching solutions? Then we're talking of winner. So I think the fact of the matter remains that, like I always said, dead don't have problems. It's a living people who have problems. Dead don't have stress. We have stress. So it's a part of life. Let's deal with all that we got and come out of it, and then let's bring on a new challenge and let's face it.
So, I mean, what you put out there it has to have prominence, has to have relevance, should resonate. At the end of the day, it's not the numbers that of followers and likes, because that again is flawed nowadays. And the other thing I feel that women don't do enough is networking. And Anusha, being a part of the Chevening, you have been like interacting and meeting a lot of influential people lately. So what do you think about networking? Are we networking enough?
Yeah, I think everybody should network. I don't think there's any problem in, networking, going out there, meeting new people. See, as a journalist, it was a given as a part of my job that you had to network if you had to get good stories. You had to network to build your sources, to get, the information that you wanted. And for me, I think networking just comes very naturally. Yes, being part of the Shivening alumni group or being a Shivening scholar has added a lot more value to what I have been doing. Both I still independently write. And also in my outdoor work. And I think networking is very key. A lot of us, everybody's spoken about this. We all look for this kind of societal affirmation, whether we should be doing something like this, whether we should not do this. Even when I don't think we need to, you're confident. Don't let others' apprehension actually affect you. I think that is very important. And I think we as women, we let others' apprehensions actually pull us down, which should not be the case. Go out there, network. There is no harm. Sometimes it might work out positive for you, sometimes it might not, but don't pull yourself back. I mean, it all comes back to, all that we've been speaking all this while, that go out there. I mean, it's only when you network that you'll realize what you're getting or, what you're losing. So there's no harm. But the reason that women don't network is, I think, varied. One is, of course, log kya kahenge. अरे लोग तो कहते रहेंगे यार. मतलब because of what log kya kahenge, you can't be just stopping, Same is the case when I started working with persons with disability. Oh, it is so risky. Why are you doing this? Why are you not doing anything for women? I mean, there are so many out there doing things for women. Who are the people who are doing for them? And I said, I'm just taking them into the outdoors, and which I'm good at, and I'm confident. If I'd let those apprehensions and all those negativity really, seep through into me, I don't think I would have been doing what I'm doing. And I'm very happy that it didn't let me, pull me down. Because every time I'm doing something with persons with disability, you have to listen to something like this. Be careful. I have to be careful if I'm taking able-bodied people also. It's the same. It is only the reason I thought of inclusion, and inclusion of persons with disability along with able-bodied people, is that both of them understand what their fears are. When you're out in the outdoors, everybody's fears are the same. Just as how Anshu was saying, can I be doing EBC? A person with disability and along with Anshu, both of their challenges are going to be the same. So, you just need to accept everyone the way they are and not get anything or anybody affect you. And I think women do go through this point of being, looking for affirmation from others. I think once you shed that, things will be normal and you would get on your feet and do what you want to do. I think
Preeti,
that's...
may I add one point here? Because it's gonna, so we were doing this research in the Bay Area, and my goal was, and I was creating a workshop on courageous communication for women. And especially when they're going to speak to a leader, present a big idea. So when I spoke to when I was doing my research, I asked a question. I asked the leader, and I'm talking about a very big IT brand. I mean, sure, everyone has one of that on the desks right now. So that big. So I spoke with him and I said, okay, when there is a female presenter who comes to present a big idea to you, what are you thinking about? And he said that, okay, I'm thinking of the credential of the idea. I'm thinking of the return on investment. I'm thinking on whether this idea is feasible or not. And then I asked that $1 million question, what Anusha just said, do you think that it's a woman presenting to you? And he said, it's only the woman who's thinking about being a woman making that presentation. I'm not.
Perfect. I wish that is the kind of, perspective and every woman out there listening to us on this webinar takes forward and understands the depth of what exactly Anshu just mentioned. Though we keep, on small things, try to figure out that agar networking event raat ko 11 baje shuru hona hai, so will I be able to reach that place and how will I come back home safely? That again, maybe some other day we can discuss that. But again, in Delhi, I suppose, and Anshu is from Gurugram, Delhi NCR, obviously these are things that we also need to think about. We can't just totally, but Anusha, you're in Mumbai. This is not for you. Yeah.
So, I
But
mean,
yeah,
obviously,
these are
it's
things,
for
yeah,
women
risk,
all
the
across the
risk,
country.
calculated risk that we need to take when I say networking and going out,
So you need
all
to
out.
know who you are and how you can handle yourself. That goes for every woman. And I think every parent should teach their daughter what
Mm.
is, how to handle themselves and go out there, be confident. I mean, of course, it is very important to look at the pros and the cons. I mean, when I say networking is important, obviously you
Mm.
need to know about yourself and how much can you go out there and do what you can do. So,
Mhm.
and I think that goes for everyone. It's, I mean, it's not something that.
Tushar, you're smiling. Something tells me that you want to say something here.
I'm smiling because you said 11 o'clock in the night. I'm thinking, ये boss मेरा तो 3 घंटे का नींद हो गया.
Right.
Because I
Who
go to
does
sleep by 8, 9,
No,
9
no,
o'clock.
no.
I'm
It's
in
a, it's
bed.
a, it's a, it's a lot of pressure on women in the corporates nowadays
I
that they need
Yes.
to be at a party, at event late in the night,
Preeti, it was not. It's not a pressure today. It was a pressure even in my time, and I
Yeah.
just chose not to go. It was a pressure even at my time. In fact, I was told by one of my colleagues that यार दिलशा तू अगर 11 बजे तक ऑफिस में बैठ सकती है तो 11 बजे तू बाहर क्यों नहीं आ सकती? I said because I find that a waste of time. अगर मेरे को बाहर जाके बियर ही पीना है तुम लोगों के साथ तो मैं घर जाऊंगी यार.
Hmm.
Why would I waste my time? So it's been like this even 20 years ago. It's not different. It's just not different. I just feel that we should not be compelled to do something that
Yeah.
we don't want to do.
exactly.
It's as simple as
Copy
that. So
paste.
networking is
Have to
about, it
learn the
has to
same
come
way.
naturally to you. If it doesn't come naturally, it doesn't come naturally to me. I'll be very honest. Doesn't come naturally to me. I've lived without networking for a very long time. And I know I'm very bad at it. But ठीक है, that's me. Because for me to be pushing myself to be out there in every space बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. So ठीक है, this one I'm going to take a discount on.
So loads
That's-
of questions we have from our, the viewers of the webinar. So let me just roll out all the questions one by one. The first one is to Dilshad, how to overcome to internal negativity, which on and off on a daily basis.
Internal negativity. I don't suffer from that at all because I think that we all have a little thing sitting on our shoulder, tapping us once in a while, telling us things we don't want to hear. How do I overcome it? Personally, I wake up every morning saying, and I learned this of late, I learned it in the last 3-4 years. I'm strong. I can do this. I want to do this. And it's all right if I don't get it the way it's meant to be. And it's, sometimes when things, Preeti, you've known what's happened in the last 3 years. Sometimes when things don't work out, I just throw it to the universe. Like, tu sambhal yaar. Sambhal le. And sambhal leta hai. Things work out eventually. I don't think that we need to keep pushing. I think that when people are constantly pushing back at you, there is a time where you just have to stop and say, ठीक है यार, this is not the time and place. आगे बढ़ो.
Prem, this is for you. What was the major blockage she felt and overcome while leading to success?
उसके लिए book पढ़नी पड़ेगी. But I will say two things. One thing, you have to stay honest to your values in your journey. Because in today's time, we're moving from villages to small towns to big cities, and you'll meet people with different set of values. You have to really stay true to what your values are. And I realized that, and that was important. So that setting boundaries is critical. जिसको अब हम अलग अलग definition में कह सकते हैं, चाहे वो networking में हो, चाहे किसी भी में चीज में हो. That was one. And second, I don't think success आप अकेले create करते हो. I mean, it's just that idea of, oh, self-made woman or self-made, that is not true. It takes a whole village, it takes your family, it takes friends, it takes so many mentors, teachers who come along the way. तो अकेले सक्सेस का तो है ही नहीं. Wherever you are, collaborate, give back, and in the process you receive so much. Find mentors, find friends who can be honest to you. So that process is ongoing, and rest you'll learn in the book.
No, so a big, shout out to all the men in our lives also who have helped, us succeed in our life. So that again is very important. And I mean, I'm not sure about this question, but still I'll try to reframe it. Lack of proper knowledge of law of restraint to women to grow. Maybe
I
I
think ये
think
उस
what he's saying
context में आया था जब हम बोल रहे थे ना कि women coming back to work after like taking a year off either for
yes.
child care or elderly care.
Hmm.
लॉ एक ही हद तक जा सकता है, 6 महीने की छुट्टियां दे दी, बट आप जब वापस आते हो एंड बॉस इज हॉरिबल, can't do
Hmm.
anything about it, no? If they don't have a pumping facility, you can't, like, कितना लड़ेगी, घर पे बच्चा संभालना है, फीड करना है उसको, अब वो लड़के
Hmm.
कंपनी में ब्रेस्ट पंप का सेंटर भी लगाएगी. I mean, these are basics we have to evolve as human being and as a society. Like, बच्चा पैदा किया, दिमाग और स्किल्स नहीं खत्म हो गई हैं उसकी. Stop treating her the way we treat. है ना? I mean, I don't have nicer ways to say put it out. I'm
I just
sorry.
like to say add one thing to what Premlata said. Back in 2007, 2008, when we launched UTV broadcasting, Preeti, I think you remember this.
Yeah.
I created a creche. It was unheard of so many years ago. I created a creche where you could bring your babies. And you know what the interesting part was? The men brought their babies so their wives could go back to work. That's what I found really interesting. So it was equal. It was not just the women, but it was also the men who were bringing their 2-year-old, 3-year-old, saying कि चलो the बच्चा is safe. I had to fight with my boss for that. बहुत लड़ाई की है. But I wanted that the women should come back. Exactly what Premlata said. Ki, yaar, she's not lost all her senses because she's gone off her job for 1 year. No, she's
True.
of use to the industry. You have to find ways to bring them back. When you're
Yeah.
talking about inclusion, you can
Yeah.
talk about, you can celebrate all the International Women Days in the world that you want as a corporate. But if you don't have some sort of setup where you're welcoming the women back, I think then there's a problem.
And
Correct.
I find it really sad that, 2024, we're, sorry, 21st century, 24 years, and we're still talking women's inclusion on an International Women's Day. I mean, I
Hmm.
found that a little odd
Hmm.
because
It's a related
we,
question to it,
it's not a
which
tick
you
mark.
Hmm.
It's not like a tick mark question, right? I mean, women ko include karna. They are there. They are going to do what they can do at, best, and just treat them the way they are.
Hmm.
No,
No, I
just
would
because.
also like to hear from Dr. Preeti Sharma because, the teaching line is supposedly said that it's a easier line for women. But nowadays, I think, Dr. Preeti, you would like to probably share that how long the working hours are for you. And even when you get back home, how much more you have to put in. So it's not easy there's nothing like, a particular function is easy on anybody for that matter.
we are the role models, and we have to be on toes all the time, because whatever we are doing, not only what we are speaking, but our conduct, everything is something which society will take on. So therefore, the job is really very serious, and we fully understand our responsibility as faculty member. And if a society has to progress, then you have to value the faculty, because they are the one who will be the lighting pole for everybody, right? So therefore, I think, and as long as the job is there, so this is not the job, this is the duty. So I will say for the teacher, it is the duty. A sense of duty is something which makes us fulfilled. It is not the financial rewards, but the change we see, which we brought into the lives of the people. That is the reward which we look forward. So yes, it is taxing, but it is very, very satisfying also at the same time. And there is one question from Ruxar. So, because we are talking about the achievements, so I want to ask women who have not been high achievers in the professional career, how to address it so that they bring in those women to take charge of their lives. So this is about those who have not their dreams fulfilled. So how they can be in the charge of their life. So anybody would like to
Say,
respond to this Ruxar's question?
according to me, I think it's about providing them with opportunities, wherever they are. I mean, whichever field of profession they are, to provide them with opportunities so that you let them understand where their strengths lie and let them kind of pursue what they can. More often than not, I think even women are restrained. At workplace, I see, a lot of them don't want to speak out. A lot of them don't want to participate in a lot of activities that happen. You have to kind of give them that opportunity and say that it's okay to make a mistake and learn from those mistakes. I mean, that's what my take be, that provide with the necessary opportunities as and when you find them, just give them the opportunity.
I want to add something to answer this question for Ruksa, Dr. Preeti. So, in one of my podcasts, I've covered a lady who's 83 now, and she loves to drive. She goes on adventure drives, she pulls out her Jeep, and she drives. So, when she was a little girl, I want to first take the first point from what Anusha said. So, she said that when she was a little girl in a small town in Punjab, her grandfather said, the boys and all were given eggs in the morning to eat, and then she was told, "Ladkiyan ande nahi khati, tu chhod de." So her grandmother ensured that she ate, if not equal, but at least one more than what the boys ate. And she said, "Ye aaj jitne maine khaye na extra eggs, aaj main gaadi chala rahi hu pahadon mein." So that was point one. And at the second point I want to make is that, it's not that, I think really, again want to take on from what we all have been saying. The success of an individual is on individual capability, not on capabilities given to that individual because of that gender. Are you telling me that when Dilshad and Anusha go on a trek, that they don't face any physical concerns that any woman faces? Of course, the first day of the trek, maybe, experiencing something, this is all right. Absolutely. Yes. And if so, we first, going back to what I stated a little while ago, we have to clear this in our head. I am not going to face a limitation because I'm a woman. I don't want anything extra because I'm a woman. I am capable. I am doing my due diligence. I am going to hone my skills. I'm going to work on making myself good for this work that I have at hand, whatever it may be. And it doesn't matter what gender I am. That's it. That's where it ends in my head. Let's talk about abilities. Let's talk about skills. Let's talk about getting ready to handle what we need to, irrespective of me being a woman.
I'd like to just add one thing more to what both Anusha and Anshu said was, when we talk about inclusion, why don't we talk about self-inclusion? Why is inclusion always somebody else's problem to include you? When was the last time you picked your hand up and said, "Main karti hu"? When was the last time you stepped out of your comfort zone and said, "Mujhe ye karna hai, and I'm not afraid to fail"? So, it works both ways. And I hope, Ruksha, that answers your question. But I think self-inclusion is very, very important. Honestly, for me, that's how I've got here. I just put my hand up for everything. Oh, baad mein dekhenge karna kaise hai? Because half the time I didn't even know how to do it, but I'll figure it out. But allow yourself the opportunity to say, "I want to do this."
I had a coach, Dilshad, exactly what you said. I had a coach, and he was coaching me into getting more business for the organization. And he told me, he said, and he was a Punjabi, he was a Sikh. So he told me, and I was all of 18. So he told me, "Beta, jab koi client puche, aata hai nahi aata, tu na haan kar deni hai.
Sahi hai.
Don't worry about it. You come back and figure it out, and everything gets figured out." So thank you, Ruksar, for asking that question. And that's a reality that we all need to address.
So the golden word is self. Think about yourself. And with that, I have one more question, I think, over here, which is that at what scale we can rate movies for violence against women? I mean, okay, OTT is showing a lot of all this, which is violence against women. And how would you rate that? Should it be there, censored, not there? Is that helping, not helping? Maybe that is the question. Yeah. At what scale can we rate movies for violence against women?
I don't know.
I guess don't go watch it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's a personal choice.
Yes, it's a personal choice because, very honestly, there is an actor in the movie who's perhaps just trying his or her level best to portray a negative role. Maybe that genre he or she wants to specialize in. But yes, since movies are have a great contribution into influencing minds. From that point of view, yes, I do think we need to mull over this. But then again, I would say there are authorities, there are censor boards who have the responsibility of doing this.
More than that, we have, Anshu, today social media. If there has to be trolls against animal for that matter, there were so many trolls against animal for the dialogues, which
You
were
will not
not.
believe, Preeti, forget that. My podcast, I used to go live every week. So, once a troller came onto the chat and said, "Oh man, you're not dead yet." And I was like, no, I'm so sad. I have a next podcast ready, dude. So it's okay. I mean, take it. I don't mean to ignore that idea and that it is an influencing factor. However, like I said, you control your circle of influence, what you can influence and how. And I think first let's clear that road very clearly, strongly, and then open to the outer circle as well.
There are two direct questions. These are the last question we'll be taking for today. And one is for Dilshad. Question to Dilshad from Manish. How to overcome to internal negativity, which on and off on a daily basis? So that
I
is,
just answered. I just answered that. That's the first question that Preeti asked.
yes. That's to you, Dilshad, from one of our audience, Mr. Manish.
I just answered that, Preeti.
Okay.
I answered it.
Okay.
Okay.
And another question was to Prem, that which was the major blockage she felt and overcome while leading to success.
Dr. Preeti went through all the questions.
Okay, I just missed that it means. Okay, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry for that.
worries.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for this interesting, interactive, inspiring session. There are so many takeaways. It will be difficult for me to summarize and have a concluding sort of statement, which kind of, talks everything because we have spoken a lot, I think, and very meaningful stuff. And I just want to end this session with something to leave for our audience. Prem is doing a 5 kilometer run for her, Hamari Lado. Prem, would you like to say something on that?
Yeah, we as part of Hamari Lado, we do a 10-week running-based program for girls in rural areas, just because, have more girls running in India. When was the last time we saw that? So 450 girls will be doing their 5 kilometer run in different villages of Rajasthan. So I would love all of you to join it from wherever you are. Just do a 5K and upload your photo. I'm happy to send the poster out to Dr. Preeti. She can share, and to this group as well. It'll be such a support for them. And we create this culture of women running and girls running.
So what Prem has done is education and sports together brings knowledge and confidence, which is very much needed. And she has opened everybody to this 5 kilometer run from home. Anybody can enroll. Dilshad, again, I mean, you are very close to going to Gulmarg for your ski program. And I thank you very much, for taking out time. It's hardly a few days away. Would you like to say something about this?
Oh, yeah. Actually, this time I'm scared. I'll be very, very honest. I'm not a fantastic skier. My daughter is, and I have a great team that teaches people to ski. I'm not professional at all. I'm afraid. I have an Everest Base Camp trek I'm leading next month. So I'm very afraid to injure myself. But I just love gliding on the snow, and we're really, really looking forward to it. And I just kept my fingers crossed कि universe baraf bhej de yaar, baraf bhej de, because the snow has come so late in the day. So we're all very excited now. I really am.
Anshu, I know a lot of people from the webinar itself who are listening to us today may be interested to have a one-on-one with you later, on leadership and coaching in that sense, So if you would like to share anything for everybody to take.
I just, like I mentioned earlier, be a courageous communicator. Have the courage to be a courageous communicator, to get rid of all that blockages, break those barriers. And there's a lot that it takes to become a courageous communicator. Listening is the first step. So I think if we can start from there and become a courageous communicator, we're on our way to becoming a great leader.
Great. Anusha, I know treks, people think Himalayas, but you are doing treks all over India for that matter. We have mountains in the south, in the central of India, and in the Arunachal. And when we are talking treks, then we are opening this outdoor space for everybody in India. And I think that is something that I would like you to maybe, touch upon.
Thank you, Preeti. Yeah, I mean, I think treks, I've been trekking in the Western Ghats of Maharashtra, I think for years now, rather decades. And the whole of India is your outdoor landscape. And I think that vast bounty of nature needs to be enjoyed by all, irrespective of whether you're going on a trek. जरूरी नहीं है कि सबको ट्रैक में जाना है. Just go out there, just go to a small hill or just be with the outdoors, embrace it. And believe me, you feel so much better. It's calming, it's healing. And I really like that everybody embraces outdoors. Like, it's just free for all. It's one place where you're not judged, to be honest. Because the mountains and the outdoors have no clue who you are. It's the people around you who judge you. You really are not judged in the outdoors. And that is the message that I'd like, everyone to take with them is embrace your uniqueness, break free from limitations, and soar towards your true potential. The moment you realize that, and believe me, the outdoors helps you do all of these things.
I'm just going to add one more thing to what Anusha said. Step out of your comfort zone. Very important. If you're going to sit on the couch and stare at those mountains on a television screen, you're not doing yourself any favors. Step out of your comfort zone. Be wet, be hungry, be uncomfortable. It's very important.
Yeah. I mean, Nilgiris, Western Ghats of Sahyadri, if you're in Bombay, just go to Karnala Bird Sanctuary. It's as close. Borivali National Park. You don't even have to climb too much. So just get out of your comfort zone, embrace the outdoors, and they'll embrace you wholeheartedly.
So to all our viewers, listeners, if you wish to know more about, these lovely ladies here in our panel, you can go to a website called dreamwebindia.in, where I have interviews of them, which we had done earlier. And thank you once again, IMTCDL, Dr. Preeti Sharma, for all your support, cooperation, and the initiative, of doing this particular event. So wishing everyone a very happy International Women's Day from my side, and many thanks. My gratitude to all of you.
It has been our honor and our privilege to welcome you all and to listen to all of you. It has been really an insightful session, very motivating. I'm sure my listeners have got a heavy dose of motivation as well as inspiration. Your stories, whatever you said, it was so inspirational. And it is a source of lot of courage, grit. And yes, I feel more powerful, and it is not something which is momentary. This is something which is giving me insight and the inner strength. So thank you so much on behalf of IMTCDL family. I would like to thank you all, my panel of inspiring women, and our session moderator, Ms. Preeti Juneja, and all my listeners. And in the honor of all the women, I would like to make my one statement. उसने सोचा कि वो कर सकती है और उसने किया. अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महिला दिवस की शुभकामनाएं. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wish you all a very nice and happy International Women's Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.